So again, why normally we put our logical or util functions separated in different folders? Well, first, because if I have my util function, and of course, each util function will put it in a different file, by the way. Why? Because simply like that, I can test it very easily. I can make sure it's working. And second, if I need this function any place, anywhere, I can use it. So this function is separated than my original code. It will not be inside my code, because if it's inside my code, I cannot reuse it. But if it's separated here, I can use it here, or if I need it in 20 places in my project, I can use it again and again. I don't have to write the same function again and again. And that's the concept of reusability. Okay? That's what we call dry. Can anyone tell me what is dry? So dry is a concept in programming, but can anyone tell me what is dry? Yes, what is dry? Come on, guys. I mean, it's obvious.
Don't repeat.
Yeah, but I don't want you to answer, engineer. Don't repeat yourself.
It's there.
Okay, dry, don't repeat yourself. In programming, all the time, when you do something, you feel like you are repeating yourself, know that you are doing something wrong. So if I separate my util function, let's go here, for example, in util function, in this example, which is called primitive, in source, I will create a new folder, put my util function. So as you can see, this function here, I'm exporting it. Now, what is this function is doing is just reversing string. What if I need it in 20 places? Well, I can just import it and use it. And that's the idea of separation of concern or reusability. So when we separate our code correctly, we can reuse it again and again. It becomes better code, not just cleaner, but more reusable. As you can see, whenever I have a util function, I'll put it in separate file. I will write the test for it. And after that, when I test it, now here in my project, as you can see, if I need it, I'm going to import it and I'm going to use it. But in another file, if I need it also, I can just import it and use it. It's simple. So because it's separated, now if this function inside this code, I cannot use it because now I can only use it for this project only. But if I put it alone, that means that gives me the possibility to use it in any place in my project. Is the idea clear what I'm trying to explain? Yes, no? Hello?
Yes.
Oh, that's what we call simply util function. And separating util function, it's a very important concept. We'll study it later in separation of concern, not just util function, because we still have component function, we still have handler, we have listener, all of them need to be separated. Just for now, no, the util function are function taking data and return data. Of course, it do something with this data. For example, here, it take a string, it reverse it and return the reverse string. But what's important for me, it take data and return data. So that's util function or logical function. And here, as you can see, I have a documentation for it, then I'm going to import it. I'm going to write a lot of tests for it, as you can see. Like that, I can test it. And if I need it in this file, I can just import it and use it. If I need it in this file, I can just import it and use it. Simple. Is the idea of util function is clear? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very important because later on, as I told you, we will study separation of concern, which is the most important concept in programming, actually. So you need to understand that your util function must be separated. Okay? Let's have a look at this example, see what it's doing. So I'm going to go to my study instances again and see what this example is doing. Let's refresh here. I open the index. So here I can just write some text here. So for example, and I can reverse the full text. It will give me mass. And if I try it again and just say sum, I can use another way. It will give me the same result, but I can reverse each word if I want to. And here, as you can see, it's the same idea. It gives me mass as well. So those are two different files. In both files, I'm using the same util function, which is reverse a string. Okay, let's try to debug our code and see what's going on. Let's inspect, refresh. Let's add something. So from, for example, and let's click on it and voila. So what's going on here? Well, First, as you can see, I have read string. You already know what's read string. It just take a string. So if I pass the ID of the string, which in this case, it will be the ID of this input, it will give me what's the value. Of course, I don't want to go inside this read string. It's not my function. I don't want to go inside it. So if I don't want to go inside it, which button I should press? Step or step out or step in or step over or resume?
Over.
Step over. So now I will click on this one. Click on this one. Now I did not go inside the function and it gave me the value, as you can see, which is sum. Now that's my function, which is called reverse. I'm calling my function and I'm passing sum. Of course, I want to go inside this function. So click on it. Now it take me inside my function, which is util function. Now in util function, of course, the text is sum. Now what we're going to do here, we are using a loop, as you can see, for of loop. And here we're trying to put the character before the text. And now like that, it will reverse it. So notice what will happen. For the first character, of course, it will be S, as you can see. And now here backward, it will be S plus an empty string, plus S plus empty string. Of course, it will give me S, as you can see. So the backward is S. Now the second character is A. And as you can see, because it's A, we will put A before the S here. So we're just reversing it. And now if I click again, and as you can see now, it's S. Now here, third time, if I go in my loop, here it's M, and of course it will put the M before A and S, as you can see. And like that, it will reverse simply my string, and it will give me the reverse string, which is mass. And if I click on it, it will go back to my function here, as you can see, and it will show the result, as you can see here, the display here. Is it simple or complex or no, or yeah? Yes, no? Did you understand it? No, absolute silence. That means you did not understand it. Hello? Are you even with me?
So it's exactly the same, but when we debug, the code goes to another file and come back to our file.
Yes, why? Because simply I am now separating, as you can see, my util function. So what will happen here, when I go to the util function, it will go to the files this function exists in. I will go line by line, because that's my function. I need to see if there is anything, I'm debugging it. And then after that, it will give me back the result, whatever the function return, and then it will show it. Voila.
Samir, could you
Yes.
explain us again the import and export?
Yes, but just give me a second. Let's try the second button and then I will explain it. Now reverse each word. That's different script. And as you can see, they are different. Okay. So what I'm doing here, same idea. I'm using this function read string. Click, and now it will give me my string here. I'm splitting the string by space. And here, if I click on it, now here, what do I need to do? So my word here, as you can see, it's just converted to an array, as you can see. And because I'm splitting by string here, I will just have one word here, which will be sum. That's it. So what I'm doing here, I'm using again for of loop. Notice in the previous function, this one was here. All is a little bit different. They are not the same. This method and the other method, but we don't care. Why? Because we are using the same function here for all of them. So for each word here, we are using this reverse here. So click. And now I will go inside my loop. So what's the first word? Because I'm using space, I don't have any word space in it. I have just one word. So it will take the word sum, and then now we will go inside our util function, as you can see. Same idea, it will reverse it. And now we got back the result, as you can see here, mass. And here, what it's going to do here, it will push it inside this specific array, which is called backward. This array, where is my array? Backward, this array is empty string. It will put my text, reverse text inside this empty string. I'm sorry, inside this empty array. And now here I'm exiting my loop. And now what they are doing here is taking my array and it's joining it by space. And so it will return it as a string. And we are converting the array to string again. Click, and now here, if I look at the word, it's mass. It's just two different ways, that's it. But they're just trying to show you that if you have a util function separated, you can use it in one file, in another file, in another file. You can use it anywhere. That's what they're trying to say. Is the idea clear? So all the time, you need to separate your util function, put them inside a different folder called util. If I run my spec, everything is fine, not a problem with that. So Agnieszka, your questions about export and import, right?
Yes.
So for export, export and import in JavaScript, if I want to now, as you can see, my function is in one file, and my code in another, this code in another file. So simply, that's what we call module. Each file, we call it module. Now, this file does not know if, for example, I remove this line here, I will get an error. Why? Because simply it does not know what this reverse. I didn't tell it what reverse is. So because it doesn't know what is reverse, because I need to use this function inside this file, I need somehow to import it here. It should be simple. So first, inside my function, I need to export it. That means I'm saying here, okay, if any file needs this function, it's okay. That's what I'm saying. Export this function. Now to export, we have two ways. Either you're going to export like named export, and here you just put the word export before the function. And now if I put the named export inside the file, I need to use this one, import curly brace and the name of the function from, okay, where is my file? It's just in the same, so I say in the same folder, as you can see, it's inside util. So I will say / the current folder, go to util, and the name of my function here, or the name of my file is reverse.js. And like that, and now I have this function here. And that's what we call named export. So first I need to export it, and then I can import it here. Simply like that. If I have any function or any object or any data or anything I want to export or make it available inside another file, in JavaScript by default, it's not possible. So I need to export it. And here, as I told you, we have two types of export. Either you're going to use named export, like that's what we call named export, export const reverse. Named export you can use in so if I have another function, I can use it again, export, it's okay. If I say, for example, export another function, which is, for example, my const, my func, it's equal to text, for example, it's just a function like that. And as you can see, it doesn't give me anything, it's fine. This one is by default there, just ignore it. So here I can export multiple names if I want to, multiple function or object or whatever I want to, it's fine. Why? Because I'm using named export. Now, if I want this is a new function available here, I just put comma and the name of my function, and now it will be okay, available. Why? Because I'm using named export. But if you're going to use the second way, which is default export, in default export, you're not gonna write it this way. You need to say export default exp, export default, and the name of the function, which is reverse. Now, if you use default export, know that, of course, you need to remove this one. So you need to remove it. And here, remember, if you use default export, you can only export one thing. Only one thing. Only this function is this example. If you want to export more function, you can create an object and put all your function inside. And that answered Daria's question yesterday. Because I cannot export multiple stuff, it doesn't make sense. It also is a function, if I want to return multiple function, I cannot. But what I can put them inside an object and return the object. So if I exported export default reverse here, in the file, it should work a little bit differently. I will use import, I will remove the curly braces. And voila, and it will work. Same idea. Is it clear, Agnieszka?
Yes. And could you write down the export with the object? How
Yeah,
it will look like?
it's quite simple, actually. Just export. Let me go to my test here and I'll show you. Just a second. Testing. So let's say I want now, let's say I have a lot of function. Add, subtract, subtract like that. Subtract. No, it should be like that. Subtract, no. Subtract. Now let's, for example, add multiplication const. Multiply like that, and multiply should be okay. And let's say division as the last one. Now, if I want to export all these function, I have two possibilities. Either I'm gonna use the named export, so I will just say export, export again and again on all of them, and that's what we name it, named export, right? So here, clicky. That's how we export multiple function if we want to. Now here, let's imagine that's the second file I want to use. Now see here, second file. I'm not gonna create a file, I'm just imagine this way. That's a file here my function exists in. So functions file. In the new file here, when you import it, what you need to do, you need to use this one. Import, curly brace, add, subtract, multiply, division from /function.js, as you can see. But if I want to use a default export, so let's use default export. So let's just say exp and it give me default export. Now, if I'm going to use default export, I cannot really. Why? Because default export allow me to export just one thing. And in this example, I want 4 functions. So what will be the easiest way? Well, the easiest way here, I can just create a function. And as you can see, I can add like that, add. And here I can just say add, dot add. So I'm saving simply my function. Voila, add dot add, subtract dot subtract. So the key value are the same, as you can see. So it's simply I'm saving this function. So this function add, I'm storing it in a property here in a property called add. This subtract, we store it in a property called subtract. Multiply, divide. And like that here, I'm exporting one object. Now in my file, I can just say import, or I can give the object whatever name I want to. Let's say my function, like that, for example, from blah, blah, blah. Now my function here, you can name it whatever you want to. There's another way you can create the function inside here before you do it. So for example, to make it easy for you, I will just say const. I will first create my object, const. What do we name the function? My function, right? And here my function, it will be an object, as I told you. I've already created, voila. So now I store everything inside an object, and now I can export my object. It will be simple. Because I'm exporting one thing, it will be simple, as you can see, my function. Now, if I want to access any function, remember, my function is an object. If I want to access now any method, it's not a function anymore because it's inside an object. I just need to say the name of the object and say dot add, as you can see. And here, add 1 and 2. And here I can use subtract and multiply and blah, blah, blah. Is it quite clear, Agnieszka?
Yes, but which way is better?
Which way is better? With React, we need to export, import hundreds of times. Very important knowledge. Of course, in React, all the time we use default export, and it's quite simple. Which one is better? It really depends on your need. That means if you want to export, let's say I have 100 functions, let's say I want to put all of them inside an object and export one thing. If I need to export one thing, it's better to use default export. But if I need to export multiple functions and I don't want to put them inside an object, then I need to use named export. So it's really depend on what do you want. There's nothing better than better. It's just like you're saying, okay, I like ice cream, or I like ice cream too. You like, for example, vanilla, and I like chocolate, for example. There's no right or wrong. It's just two different ways depending on the style you are using. But most of the time in React, we are using default export because we are exporting just one component. Yep.
Okay.
Clear?
And also because here is the error, so source type should be module. It's in HTML one, yeah? It's this one?
Yes, because now we are doing it in study licenses, we don't do that. But when real life, when you do a project, you need to go to your HTML, and here you need to say source type module. If you don't put type module, it will not allow you to use export and import. Type module is the way to say, okay, you can export or import function or object or data from one file, one module to another module. Is it quite clear?
Yes.
Good. That's simply my example here. You have some exercises, as you can see, and now you need to work on them. Of course, there is a demo. So first you need to open the demo, see how the demo is working. And then after that, you need to write your util function here. So remove character. Some of them actually, I think they're already okay. I'm not sure if there is test for them. Some of them is already there, just study it, but maybe some of them are missing. I don't know. If some of them missing, you need to write the util function here. For example, is palindrome Here is palindrome is not completed. You need to complete it. Do you know what's palindrome? Anyone know what's palindrome? So
Yes.
palindrome.
Yes.
Yeah, tell
It's
me
the
what is it?
reverse of the word. Is
Yes,
the
so
look the
reverse.
same.
Yeah. So if, for example, madam, and I say madam, it's the same. That's what we called a palindrome. Simply like that. And yeah, here, same idea. Remember, util now, from now on, all the time, if you have a util function, you need to first create something called SRC. That's in a real project. You create something called SRC with the source. Source include all JavaScript. And inside the source, you need to create another folder that will be util function. And each function should be in different file, because like that, you can test it very easily. And if you need the util function in any other place, you can just import it. Voila, should be simple now. Refactor here, same idea. You just need to do it. Array and object, they are both the same idea. You don't have example. You just need to do the exercises. Any question? Any question? Any question? Hello, any question? Let me open some other file so I can explain few stuff, and then not lesson plan. I don't want that. I want test. Okay, click. So as you can see, that's just normal project in JavaScript. So we have something called source. And of course, you create a new folder called utils. And as you can see, your VS Code should give you a nice icon, different icon, because it recognizes that util are different function. But anyway, that's my index.html. The type is module. That's fine. And that's my init.js. I just name it init.js. That's it. I think it's already linked to it. So yeah, it's linked. Everything style is linked. That's fine. I need just to explain a few stuff for you. And then after that, we should be good to go. Clicky. Actually, let me go here. Let me click here. So I've explained all of this stuff. All of this stuff should be good. Use strict. By the way, when you use export, import, you don't really need to use strict, because by default, when you export and import file, they will be using strict. But anyway, that's be okay. Everything name, import, and I explained it, like module lifecycle. So module lifecycle, all the time, it will be creation phase. That's mean if your JavaScript try to import any function and it did not succeed, maybe the name of the function is wrong like that, it always will be creation phase. That's mean your program will never run. It will just give you error directly, and it will tell you this module does not exist, or there is an error like that. Is the idea clear? So when we are using export and import all the time, you will not have like execution phase. That means your code not run. You will not see result, and after that it's error. No, you will see directly an error because it cannot import. Because what JavaScript is doing first, it's import all the module, and after that try to execute the code. And if one module it does not exist, then it will throw an error directly, and it will be in creation phase. Is the idea clear here? Yes? No?
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Everything should be fine here. Arrays, I've explained all of them. Function array method should be here. Pass a callback. Daria, you don't know what's pass a callback? Daria?
Yes. Yes.
I did explain it. If you want, I can explain it again. So callback is just a function. You pass it to another function. That's it.
Yes.
Right of
Yes. Yeah, I
callback.
know.
Okay. Consume callback.
Is it my
simple
issue?
Yes, I open your issue just like that.
Oh,
Decide
okay.
when to declare a callback inline. So declare callback, that means just for like map, we just put directly an arrow function inside the map here, or you can put it separately. Debug function or methods, that should be fine. Now, object literal. Of course, I've already told you what's an object literal. So to create an object, I can just say, for example, cause person. And here in object, of course, we need to use curly brace, as you can see. And here I can put name, age, whatever I want to. Can anyone remind me what is an object? Can anyone remind me what is an object? An order? Yes.
It's an order list.
Yes. And array are?
Order list.
Exactly. So it's not that difficult. That means if I put the age before the name, it doesn't matter. But in array, it does matter, as we studied. Now, how can I access any property inside my my object? Of course, we already know. So I will just log it so you can see the result. I can say person.name and should give me John, right? That's what we called the dot operator. So dot operator here, it allow me to access any item inside my object. And as you can see, it give me John. I can do the same with the age, of course, and it'll give me age, it should give me 32. Just say dot and it will give me here 32. There's another way. Can anyone tell me what's the second way? What's the second way to access the object property?
With the brackets.
The square
Bracket, and
brackets.
here I need to mention name like that. And here I can use the same. I would say the dot operator, we use it more often. We don't use this bracket most of the time, to be honest. Now, if I go to my code here, I have a problem. Why do I have a problem?
Because it should be string.
Exactly. So here, if I make it as a string, and age, I make it as a string, and I go like that, and voila, John and 32. Is the idea clear? Do you know now how to access your object using
Yeah.
the dot
And
operator?
we are using destructuring also, right?
I'm sorry?
We are using destructuring for object, right?
Yes, we are using destructuring in an object as well. So to use destructuring in an object, so destructuring, Dinyando, we use it with array and object. You already know how to do it with array. I will show you how to do it with an object. So let's create a new object. Const, let's say new person. And here I can just, but notice it will be a little bit different. Why? Because in array it was square bracket. So here it will be curly brace. Why? Because it's an object. And I will just say dot, 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 a person, and voila. And it will give me the same. If I log new person, it will give me the same property exactly. New person, I want to log everything. The whole object. And of course, the dot operator, the spread operator now, it's create a shallow copy, as you can see. Voila. Is it clear? 100%. Yes, no. Hello.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Can anyone tell me what do we call name? What do we call the name here?
Property? Oh, key value. Yeah.
No, property. We call it properties. Is there key value? That's keys, that's values, that's keys, that's values, that's the object. All of it is key value, but we call this one property. If I say, for example, walk, and walk here, I can just declare it an arrow function if I want to, or you can just say function declaration. It doesn't matter really. There is a little bit different between them, but later on. Can anyone tell me what do we call walk? What do we call walk? What do you call it?
Method.
Parameter.
Yes, method. You shouldn't forget this name. If you remember all the time when I tell you it's a method, actually, it's a method. There is a reason for that because they are inside object. And now here, if I want to access the property, it's quite simple. I can just say name dot. Notice here the name here. It's like it's blue. It's blue. That means it's property. Sorry. Let's go to person again. And now if I say dot, notice this guy here. Here it's actually not giving me. But if you have anything created already built in JavaScript, it will give you different stuff here. So if I click on age, of course, here, as you can see, it gives me the value I want to. Now, if I want to execute the function, I want to use person dot walk, and I need to use here parentheses because it's a method. A method simply is a function. It will not be executed if I don't use this curly brace here. I'm sorry, if I don't use this parentheses here. So property, no, it's just like a variable here. It's just a property. I don't need any parentheses, but a method, I need to execute it. If I don't execute it, it will give me nothing. Is the idea clear? Yes?
Yes.
No? Good. Now, if I say, for example, console, and here I say dot, notice I have some strange stuff here. So as you can see, I have this guy, which is in pink, and I have this one with blue. Can anyone tell me what's the difference between them? So if I hover over console, see this one give me method. This one give me method. This one give me method. That means it's a function, all of them. This is a method. This is the method. All of them are function, as you can see inside this object. But I have one of them only, which is not, it's different. Can anyone tell me what is that? This is not a method, so what it will be? Hello?
Property.
Property, of course, you don't need to think about it. So if here, again, VS Code help you. If you see something like pink like that, you know that it is a method. And by the way, if you just use your mouse here, so it tell you method. And of course, if you go to the documentation MDN, you can click on this one, and VS Code is smart. It will give you the explanation. So when I have a notice the definition, it's a method, it's a method, it's a method, it's a method here, it's a property. Okay. So VS Code help you to tell you which one is a method, which one is a property. Okay. I think it should be clear 100% if I'm not mistaken. Now you know what's an object, you know everything about the object, so it should be good. After that, reference var value, I've already explained everything. Avoid side effect, I've explained it. This one, everything is explained, except I did not explain just one stuff, which will be the call stack. I will do it on Friday, the call stack. Where's the call stack, call stack, call stack, call stack? Yeah. So the call stack, I'm gonna explain it on Friday. But now here, variable and function. So we have the parameter, we have the local variable, we have the parent. This is one. I did explain this one, but I didn't give you an example. So let's see, for example, let's create a function. Anyone has an idea? Just give me an example about any function you want to. Let's make it simple. So let's say, for example, say hi. And say hi, of course, it will be an arrow function. It take a name as a parameter, and voila. So now I can say console.log name. And you already know this one, of course. If I want to execute my functions, that's function creation or function declaration. I'm telling JavaScript, this is the function. And here, when I call the function, call function. And here, let's say function definition or just function definition. Function definition. I'm just telling JavaScript that this is a function. So that's my function. When I want to use it, I will call it. Of course, I need to pass the name because I already said that I will pass one property called name. You still can hear me, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Mhm.
Perfect. Now here, let's declare a new variable. I will say const first name, for example, first name, it's equal to Jack, for example. Voila. Now I'm declaring a variable inside this function, right? Can anyone tell me what will be the scope of this variable? What will be the scope? This variable, it will be known where? Can anyone tell me?
Only inside the function.
Yes, so it will be function scope. That's good. Now, what if I have another function? I could have another function inside this one, by the way. So I can have function inside function. So let's say, for example, const say hello again, or it's another function, okay? And I will say, for example, no, not first name. I can access the first name. And this function also take another parameter, which will be, for example, last name. Voila. Cool. Last name here. And of course, here I can log the first name, and I can log the last name if I want to. Log last name. So as you can see, actually, we have three types of variable inside a function possible. The first one here is the parameter. Now, the parameter, you can access it everywhere inside the function. You can access it here, inside another function. So I can log it. If I want to log it, log name, it will be known. I want to hello name, for example. So this one here, the parameter here, it's considered as a variable, and it will be available everywhere inside my function, which is nice. Now, this variable here, which is inside the parent function, that's what we call the outer function. So say hi is outer function. Say, no, it should be lowercase. Say hi is outer, we call it outer function. Simply like that. Outer function. And the second one, it will be inner function, because that's inside it. That's simply like that. That's fine. That's okay. That's okay. What should I do now? I want to return this guy here, this function here. I want to return it because either I'm gonna call it inside the function, or let's call it inside the function. For now, let's now just call it inside the function here. Say hello. I will not make it complex. And I will say Smith, for example. Voila. So this inner function, I'm calling it inside my function. That's fine. As you can see, we have three different types of variable. We have name, which is as a parameter. It's available everywhere. First name, it's available inside my function here when I declare it. So it will be available from line 4 and everything down. I can use it also inside the inner function. And here inside my inner function, let's say I want to declare a new variable. So maybe I can say const, not first name, let's say ID. It's equal to 1, for example. Of course, because I declare this variable inside this function, I will be able to access the ID. So if I say log ID, just log, no, console.log. I can just say log ID like that. So this variable, it will be available inside this inner function. But if I want to use it, if I want to use it in the outer function, it does not work, of course, because it's not known here. The scope of is this variable, it's just this function here, as you know. So it will only exist here. I cannot use it on the parent or the outer function. But this one, that variable I declare in the parent function or the outer function, I can use it inside the inner function. And as you can see, this is one type here, which is parameter. Here, that's what we call the parent scope or the outer function scope variable. And here, that's the inner function scope. So we can have three type of variable, let's say, inside a function. Is the idea clear? Yes, no? Yes, no, maybe. And as you can see, everything is okay, working perfectly. Yes?
This example is for closure, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to make it closure because I did not explain it yet, actually. To make it closure, Dinyando, I need to call these functions and store. I return this function, call these functions, and it will return me this function. And then after that, I store it in a variable and use it again. Indeed, this one, it will be a closure. But I don't want to make it complex because I did not explain closure yet. That's why I make it simple. I just call it inside the function itself.
Yeah, okay.
But I will explain closure, don't worry. Is the idea clear how many type of variable or different type of variable you can have inside a function?
Yes.
Is the scope is clear? So parameter, you can access them everywhere you want to. The outer function or the parent function, if you declare a variable inside it, you can access it inside the inner function. An inner function, if you declare a variable inside it, you cannot access it out in the outer function or the parent function. Is the idea clear? 100%. Should be clear, I think. It's intuitive. I mean, it's not that difficult. Declare a variable, I can access it here. This one, I can access it everywhere. But here, if I declare the variable here, it will be block scope or function scope. Of course, I cannot access it outside. Okay. I like that. I think I cover everything except just the call stack. So everything I cover it in your learning objective. I cover everything. And except just one is a call stack. There's a call stack. I explain it on Friday because I need to create different function and just show you how the call stack work. Other than that, you shouldn't have any question. But if you have, you can ask me, of course. Okay, let me go here. And let me go back to our repo. Where is it? My fork. Okay. Let me open study instances. Let's go here. Clicky, clicky, and clicky. So, what should you do? For sabotage, I told you, we just need to do a little bit exercise, but it will be at the class tomorrow. So after you finish your challenge, your colleague come and play with it a little bit, and after that, you need to come and fix it. We need to be in the class to do that. Side effect, all that explained, util function, you know, you need now to do the exercise here for the util function and the exercise here. That should be clear. After you finish all of that in the lesson plan, of course, you need to go here, asserting primitive and operator control flow function, unit testing, ESS module, using function array method, multiple interactions. So now you should do all the exercises. I'll give you a time until Friday to finish everything. If you did not finish by Friday, I can give you also Monday. Hopefully by Monday, next Monday, you'll finish all the exercise. And after that, maybe I can give you a little bit simple introduction to the DOM, so you can manipulate some element, and I can give you a project. Is that okay with you? Yes, no?
So the project will be